I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
I'm going to bring up Reverend Blaine, and I assured him today that we are here for him, and we will hold the space for him, and we will send our strength to him. Do I have your agreement? Yes. I see some new faces, some faces we haven't seen in a while, and some people that we see regularly, some people that are usually on Facebook Live. We're glad you're here today. We're thrilled. We know you're here, and it wouldn't be a same service without you, as we welcome Reverend Blaine back to our pulpit.
All right, well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Wow, I feel so blessed. Thank you. Thank you. So many beautiful faces. Wow. Well, I like to start with a story. And the other day, I was really feeling like I needed some spiritual nourishment, right? And by spiritual nourishment, I mean ice cream, right? So I went down to this ice cream stand down in Kihei, and I'm standing there and I'm feeling all peaceful, and all my chakras are in alphabetical order. Is that how they are? I don't know. But anyway, I'm feeling really good, and it's like, oh, this is great. Can't wait to get some ice cream. And all of a sudden, this big guy cuts right in front of me, right? And I'm like, what? What are you doing? My little inner child goes, wait a minute, excuse me, sir. There are rules in this universe, and you're not abiding by them. And my spiritual self says, oh, Blaine, just let it go. And my inner child is like, no, I want some ice cream. Who is this guy that's crowding in front of me when I came here for ice cream? Well, I got my ice cream, and it was rocky road, right? Kind of like life, right? And Rocky Road is my absolute favorite ice cream, right? Because it's chocolate, and it has marshmallows, and it has nuts in it, and this is some of the best things in life, right? So I get my ice cream, and I realize that I just spent 5 minutes mentally unraveling about who is going to get ice cream first. And I realize my chakras are no longer in alphabetical order. So I went outside and I invited my child self to have a seat next to me outside. And I decided it's time that I had a long talk with this guy. But he didn't need justice. What he needed was love. What he needed was a lick of that Rocky Road ice cream. So this talk is titled, Help, My Inner Child Just Ate My Inner Peace. And this talk isn't about how do we silence our inner child. It's about how can we lovingly co-parent this child. How can we acknowledge this child? How can we love this child so that it is able to experience the fullness of who it is? And how can we meet these moments with our inner child with love instead of shame, with joy instead of disappointment or anger, frustration? How can we be there for our inner child and offer a dose of compassion, maybe a scoop of grace? So, who is the inner child? We all have one. So, the inner child is kind of that person behind the scene, right? Behind the stage that is got kind of control of our emotional strings, right? And pulls those strings at not always the most appropriate time. And, I'm not talking about some mythical fairy child wearing a flower crown and floating in on a beam of light. Well, although if that's your vibe, go for it. I'm talking about the part of us that formed when we were young, right? The part of us that was there before we learned how to be appropriate, before we learned how to act our age, before we learned how to use our inside voice. This version of you, of me, of us, lives in our emotional body, right? It's the one who is there with the belly laughs. It's the one who is there when things happen that are inappropriate. It's the part of us that laughs when somebody farts. And that's certainly me. I didn't bring my fart machine today. Although I do have two of them, just in case one breaks down. But that's that little child can bring us so much joy, and it can also be the part of us that gets buttons pushed that can drive us crazy and give us an opportunity for spiritual evolution. So, do you remember what it felt like to be the last one chosen for the baseball team when you were a child, right? Can you remember being picked last, right? Because I couldn't catch, I couldn't throw, couldn't see, still can't, and be sent out into right field, right? Hopefully that nobody ever hit it out into right field. That was me. Anybody else can relate to that? Were you ever the one that didn't get picked for the dodgeball team, or the one that always got hit first because you didn't see the ball coming, because you were thinking about something else? The inner child shows up when a nerve gets hit, right? Not because we're weak, but because the younger part of us never quite learned the spiritual message, right? Never quite got the truth. Was always a little bit too vulnerable, had a little bit too little self-confidence. The inner child doesn't need punishment. It doesn't need perfection. What it needs is presence. It needs for us to be present with it. It doesn't need for us to shove it away or shove it into a corner or ignore it. It wants to be heard, because that's where the healing happens. We are talking today about embracing the inner child, because we know, in truth, that we are all aspects of the divine, right? We are perfect in every way. We are the embodiment of love and light and truth and wisdom and power. Yes? Anybody agree that they're that? Yes? That's who we are. And the inner child is part of that. So the inner child isn't something to be banished or pushed away. The inner child is there to be enjoyed, to be loved, to be told, I see you, I hear you, I know you. The inner child isn't a problem to fix. It's a portal to heal, right? right? It's part of our spiritual evolvement, our spiritual evolution, right? That when we heal this relationship with our inner child, we're getting to know the perfection of who and what we are. Right? When we get triggered, anybody ever get triggered? Similar to what happened to me in the ice cream shop, right? You know, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're spiritually failing. It means that something tender within you wants to be loved. Yeah, breathe into that, feel that, right? When our buttons get pushed, it's just that something is saying, love me, hold me, be here for me, caress me. I like this affirmation. I love myself even when I'm a handful. Right? Say that with me. I love myself even when I'm a handful. Speaking of a handful, it reminds me of a story that Brene Brown often tells when she speaks. And she says that she and her husband were on vacation in this elaborate hotel. And they're swimming in this amazing pool. And all of a sudden, her husband gets quiet. And so she's thinking, oh no. He must be mad at me. Oh, I wonder I must have done something wrong. Anybody know that voice? Right? Often comes when there's silence, right? And so she looks at her husband and she says, what are you thinking right now? He replies, I'm just trying to see how long I can hold my breath. Her inner child had been preparing for heartbreak, while her husband was competing in an Olympic, how long can you hold your breath and swim contest. Let's remember, not every silence is a rejection. Sometimes it's just breath holding. Some time ago, I lived in St. Louis. And anybody ever been in St. Louis when it's raining? Or it does all kinds of crazy stuff there, right? It snows, there's sleet, there's ice storms, there is the hellacious rainstorms where you're driving. I can remember driving and not being able to see anything other than like 5 feet in front of the car. I was trying to get somewhere, and I couldn't even see the curb, right, to get off of the street to go where I was going. But anyway, another time, I'm driving from St. Louis to Kansas City because I'm going to the Unity Convention, which happens in June in Kansas City. And I'm driving along, and I'm feeling good, and I'm excited about going to the conference to be with so many friends that I've known for a long time. And I broke out in song. And I started singing, going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, and give me one. And that was before I had me one. And then all of a sudden I look, and there's this car passing me on the left-hand side across the double yellow line, and it pulls right in front of me, right, and then begins to stop because there was an accident in the road, right? So I slammed on my brakes, and I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Who taught you how to drive? You idiot! And a few other four-letter exclamations. And it was like, wow. I was freaking out. I was upset. My inner child was losing it. So why does our inner child disturb our peace? Why does it poke us? Why does it bother us? What is it trying to tell us? And it's trying to tell us that we have an emotional wound that can be healed, right? And the younger version of us shows up ready to defend, demand, or to throw a giant hairball and create a puddle of drama. You know, the inner child isn't trying to ruin our day, it's trying to keep us safe. It's using the tools that we learned when we were what? 5, 6, right? Often it stomps its feet, it yells, and pushes because that's what it learned when it was 5 or 6 years old. Right? The inner child hijacks us, hijacks our peace because it hasn't grown up. So when it does that, it's our opportunity to reconnect with that part of us and to love it and to open ourselves to the truth and the light and the love that we are. When the inner child hijacks our inner peace, it does so to teach us a lesson. When I'm triggered, I don't freak out, I check in. Let's say this together. When I'm triggered, I don't freak out, I check in. Because really, what the inner child wants is for us to connect with it and ask it, what's going on? Why? How can I be with you? What are you here to teach me? And the inner child just wants to be loved. So in the process of writing this talk, I discovered a book that I think everyone should read, and it's called The Inner Child Field Guide. It's not a real book, but I think it should be. And it has 5 lessons that it can teach us and help us to relate to our inner child. The first thing it teaches us is to pause and notice our emotional hijack. When we get hijacked, when that inner child pushes at us, pushes a nerve to say, oh, interesting, look what's happening. And you might notice it because your heart starts pounding, your head feels like it's this big, or maybe your tone is getting a little spicy. And that's not your higher self. That's your 8-year-old child saying, hello, did you forget about me? Pay attention. And the second thing that we can do is to ask, how do I feel right now? Ask the inner child, how are you feeling right now? Often we're going to hear scared, lonely, afraid, embarrassed, not good enough, guilty, confused, overwhelmed. Or maybe you just want to grab that grilled cheese sandwich and hide under the blankets in your bed like it's a tent. But all of this invites us into the realm of healing. And the third thing we can do is name the need, not the feeling. Right? So you ask your child, okay, what do you need? Right? You're freaking out. You're pushing my buttons. What do you need? So what do you think are some things that inner child might need? A hug. Yes. Comfort. Spiritual nourishment. Maybe. Maybe seen, right? It just wants to be seen. Love is a big one. You know that love is probably at the basis of all of it, right? Because what do we all want? We all want love. And our inner child just wants that love also. So the next step is to, what do? We speak with kindness to the child within. Right? We don't try and fix them. We Don't send them to a spiritual timeout and say, just get away from me, leave me alone. But rather, I hear you. Know that this is a safe place. I love you. I feel you. I want to know what you're feeling. I'm here for you. I support you. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. And the fifth thing and the last thing would be to let love, not logic, take the wheel. Right? Your little inner child doesn't need a lecture. What they need is a hug. Don't try and analyze it. Just love it. Just say, I hear you. You're allowed to feel this. Anybody told that when you were a child? It's okay if you feel that way. Right? What did we hear? It's like don't explore your feelings. That's what I was taught. Anybody else? Don't. Yeah. Oh, I love that one. Yeah, you're crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about, right? Wow. And our parents said those kind of things because they didn't know any better, right? They were doing the best job they could. Or please don't cry. Oh, boys don't cry. For God's sakes, boys don't cry. Follow me home. You'll see who talk about crying. Wow. So I like to think of this as kind of spiritual parenting, right? It's kind of loving ourselves into that place where we can be the essence of love, where we can share our truth, where we can be the joy, where we can embrace this inner child, right? Which is really us. Embrace who you are. So I've got a call to action for you. So I would invite you to turn your triggers into teachers. When something triggers you, pokes the bear, right, to say, oh, what is this about? What can I learn from this? What inside me is looking for love? And let your revelations, or let your reactions become revelations. When you react out of fear or doubt, to look at that, what is that about? What is calling in me to be healed? And then instead of trying to silence your inner child, become the loving grown-up that they need. Be the spiritual light, the spiritual teacher, the spiritual peace that your inner child is looking for. Spiritual growth isn't about never losing your peace. It's about how to find your way back with kindness, with humor, with love. To hold the hand of that inner child within you. Because let's face it, peace isn't the absence of a tantrum. Peace is the presence of love. Even when someone just jumped in front of you to get ice cream before you. I embrace my inner child with tenderness. Let's say that together. I embrace my inner child with tenderness. I invite you to close your eyes. And just take a moment now to breathe. Center your beingness in this moment. And perhaps to imagine your inner child. Perhaps you can recall a picture of your youth. Maybe when you were 5 or 6, 7. And imagine that you can hold that you. And maybe you can bring that little you close and give it a hug. And breathe into this hug. Maybe you want to even put your arms around yourself now and know that this loving being, this spiritual essence that you are holding is holy, is loving, is peaceful, is powerful. You might say to this inner child, I love you. I appreciate you. I see you. I'm here for you. I know you. We can face this life together. I got you. Breathing in to breathing out. Feeling the love. Knowing that you are safe, you are seen, you are so very loved. I am safe. Say that with me. I am safe. I am seen. Together. I am seen. I am so very loved. Together. I am so very loved. Because all there is love. All there is love. And so it is. Namaste.
First of all, again, recognize and thank Reverend Blaine for being here back with us today. Can we hear that for him? We love you very much. Please stay around for coffee and a snack. I had a little preview, and there's a big table outside of goodies, so you'll want to hang out for that. And if you could join me in the prayer of protection, if we could all stand and get in a circle, please. And we'll know that if you could join hands, we're going to do this again, and we're going to sing a little song afterwards, so get ready. Let's say the prayer together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is.
Where I live, there are rain.